Hey there, I'm excited to introduce Leading and Learning with Character LLC to you guys today. My name is Earl Morrison. I am the founder and co owner. My wife Penny and I started Leading and Learning with Character out of our passion for leadership and personal development. A little bit about what we do. Our company provides in person and online training, mentoring, and consulting to both individuals and organizations. Here's a little bit about our journey to leading and learning with character, a little bit about our background and how we got here and the basis of our mission. Everything that we think, say, or do at Leading and Learning with Character is based on four of our favorite scriptures. I'll reveal them as we go through our story. Our first scriptures: Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Man, what a powerful verse. And I think I've had it for years as one of those that are my favorites that I use all the time. It's one of those that I have memorized. When I face one of those challenging times or days, this comes in my head and comes into mind. Now, I was in the criminal justice world for the last 29 plus years. I just recently retired to operate the business full time. We're really excited about that. It's a new phase of life for us. It all started, I spent 6 years working in the prison system in Texas, and then the last 23 of those in law enforcement in both Texas and Oklahoma. Back in 2014, felt like that our ultimate calling was to pursue my goal, which was to be a police chief in the law enforcement world. We were really blessed. I was a criminal investigations lieutenant, a church elder at our church, chairman of the board for the city credit union, men's group leader at our church. Penny and I, we were very involved at our church, and we enjoyed it immensely. I mean, our kids were there. We were entrenched in that world, but felt like we were called to do something else. As we prayed, in the summer of 2014, that dream came true. I was appointed as a chief of police in a city just north of Austin. Our thoughts were, wow, God is good. He is, and that was our mindset there. But however, the excitement was cut short because after 10 months of being there, we lost a law officer in the line of duty. I'll tell you, without a doubt, this is one of the hardest things I've ever had to lead others through, which is where Be Strong and Courageous really came to life. It came to be such a viable mantra for our lives. It was for our organization there, but for Penny and I, it really came to life. And this was before the business was even thought of. Uh, Over the next 2 years, politics, some of you know what that means when I talk about politics and what you've experienced, in your careers and throughout. Some of you know what that means, but over the next 2 years, politics kind of reared its ugly head, and we found ourselves out of our dream job in March of 2017. Of course, the thoughts were going crazy. We were like, well, what's next? Where do we go? What do we do? We did what we were supposed to. Penny and I prayed and we pleaded, and maybe even, there was a time in there where we probably were a little bit angry with God for the next opportunity. And I think, we sometimes shy away from that, but, sometimes it's okay to express our anger and our frustration as long as we're not lashing out at Him, but trying to get Him to understand what we're going through, the agony of what we're dealing with. To us, there was a lot of agony there. Our thoughts were, what are we supposed to learn from this? How do we make things better for somebody else that might face the same struggles or challenges? So in June of 2017, we created Leading and Learning with Character. And really, it was to help lead and learn by overcoming challenges and difficult situations. even when, a lot of times we don't feel like we've done anything wrong in a situation, or that we're not at fault, it's still a good idea to self-reflect on what the lesson is that you're supposed to be learning, so that we can better understand it the next time, or be able to understand it so that you can help someone else through that process. During that time frame, I wrote my first book, Leadership Lessons Learned. Now, really, I wrote that book because I needed a way to better understand my own leadership and what I had just undergone as a chief of police, and then not having the dream job that I felt like I was called to do, that I was supposed to do. And so, as we process this, and as I process this, I realized that others could probably benefit from the lessons I had learned and use them to grow their own leadership and legacy. So in that whole process, as I'm writing the book, and as we're starting up leading and learning with character, the whole purpose behind that was for me to learn, but then also to be able to help other people learn. And that's where our passion came from in building that. And then 11 months later, we got our second chance at being a police chief. Here's a quick look at my first book, Leadership Lessons Learned. Again, it's about lessons I learned, okay, throughout my career, and as a head of an organization. And they hone in on my struggles and my triumphs as I learn how to lead and learn with character. And that's one of those things that I think we need to put more emphasis on, is leading and learning with character. Which brings us to our second verse, 1 Peter 5:7. Cast all your cares on him because he cares for you. And that's been one of my favorite verses, since way back when I was in the military, and just trying to process through being away from home, away from friends, and understanding, how to navigate through that. And it's one of those that when I get into those challenging times, and you're trying to understand, how do you learn, how do you navigate through something? What a great verse to fall back on, to cast your cares on God because he cares for you. And if you think that he doesn't, he really does. And sometimes that's where we miss the thing, is that we think nobody does, but God always does. And he will show us the people that do, if we would just cast our cares on him the right way. Again, here we go, another shot at leading a police department in a community. It was out in western Texas. However, once more, as we got out there, things became extremely political, and in some ways, hostile toward us in 7 months. Now, there are many different reasons for this, but I would tell you, mainly the city and the police department, they really weren't ready for some needed changes and improvements, even though that's what they asked for. Sometimes we think we are, and part of that is that when you're not ready, everything seems like a big issue when you're not. Okay, and we thought, here we go again. We just had our newest blessing with our youngest daughter, Morgan. Bought a house in the middle of nowhere out in West Texas. Okay. But man, without a doubt, we had to put our cares on God, because we were out of a job again in the middle of nowhere, okay, trying to navigate through what's next. We got a brand new daughter, we got our three other children, a house that's new, you know, and in it, trying to maintain who we are as people and who I am as a leader, and trying to understand, what are we supposed to learn, and how do we move forward. And I'm just going to tell you, folks, it's not possible without God. So if you don't have that, that's the piece that you need to get put in place, because if you don't have that, I don't know how people move forward. I don't know how people get over their struggles and their challenges if they don't have God in their life. Crazy thing was, we were stuck there for another 6 months, but when God moved, he moved. We showed our house to one couple after being on the market for one day, and they bought it. With all the little issues it had, they didn't ask any questions. We didn't have to fix anything. No haggling, no fussing. They bought it. Man, God is amazing. Now, I have more time on my hands. So we began to develop leadership classes, and I wrote my second book, Mentoring for Life. Now, this came from our passion to want to help others and guide them through the good and bad times. Now, mentoring had been a passion of mine before. I had used it. It's other departments that I'd been at. We implemented a mentoring program. It was part of my master's thesis. So it had been part of what we were all about. We just hadn't put it on paper and written it and then added it as part of our business. And then 11 months later, we found ourselves headed to Oklahoma for our next opportunity. Here's a quick overview of Mentoring for Life. Basically it provides insight into developing, implementing, and cultivating mentoring into your daily life and into your organization. Each chapter has a key point to walk you through the steps and help you understand so that you can make mentoring a reality within your life and your organization. Our next verse is, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another, Proverbs 27:17. What a great verse when we're talking about mentoring and we're talking about writing books about mentoring. We're talking about implementing programs in our organizations and then mentoring for ourselves. What a great verse to fall back on and look at. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another, which basically to me means and says that we can't do it by ourselves, that we need other people, the right kind of people that are helping us get better. Now, our opportunity in Oklahoma was much different than others. Basically, we took a job that was half of what we were used to making. Uh, I fought tooth and nail to find another job out of that organization and out of Oklahoma. Really, our thoughts were anywhere but here. I mean, why are we even here? Okay. And then over the next few years, I worked through and worked my way to the top of the organization as the number two person. But there was still something missing. Now, I wasn't released yet, okay, which I tell everybody that, one of my friends there pointed out to me is that you can't go anywhere until God releases you. So you need to work to make things better while you're there. And that's what we have to understand is that if we find ourselves in any one of those kind of situations, maybe it's toxic, maybe it's just negative, okay? And part of that is that God calls us to be where we're at for the time that we're there, and we need to make sure that we're working towards whatever His calling is for us in that season, in that environment, to make it better until He finds something else for us, until He releases us for our next mission. Okay. Now, I felt God was preparing me for the top spot, only to realize that that was probably more of what I wanted than what He wanted. Now, what I realized across the board was that I was missing something internally and to some degree externally, which was support. 1 year later, we spent most of the last 6 years trying to find a way back into law enforcement or a smooth transition into the private sector. You know, anyone who sat in one of my classes heard me talk about crossroad decisions. If you haven't heard that, you should. We were there again. It was a big decision for us. Uh, do I continue to pursue a profession that doesn't seem to appreciate me or want me anymore? Or do I pursue retirement and then operate the business full time? And during that time, I wrote the third book, which is Jumpstart Your Leadership and Spiritual Growth. It's 119 daily devotions to grow your leadership and your spiritual walk with God. Now, a quick overview on this book. We really wrote this because I wanted to help anybody out there that may be struggling with their leadership or their spiritual walk to have a way to jumpstart that, because we get complacent, we get comfortable, we lose focus, We get distracted. And so this is really just kind of the collection of all the lessons that I've learned, plus a few more, walking daily through them, working through the issues that maybe we have, but it's designed to help you do exactly that, is jumpstart your leadership growth and your spiritual growth, because honestly they go hand in hand. Our next verse: may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing in your sight, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Psalms 19:14. Present day, I am officially retired from law enforcement and am pursuing God's calling on my life. I have firsthand experience working in toxic environments that hinder organizational growth. I'll also tell you that they hinder your individual growth. They hinder your relationships at home because we don't turn it off like we think we do. Poor communication, lack of teamwork, negative mindsets, and unsuccessful recruitments are some of the issues that hold many organizations back from thriving. This may be you, okay, or you as an individual. If you're experiencing any of these, or you have, folks, it's time to take action and rise above them. It's time to do something different. It's time to make a difference in that organization. It's time to turn from the toxicity and the negativity to a positive, healthy environment that creates positive and healthy individuals. With over 29 years of leadership and organizational experience, I offer consulting, classes, and mentoring to individuals and organizations all across the United States. We do that both virtually and in person. It depends on what your need is and what you want. My passion for teaching, mentoring, and building up others has enabled me to develop my skills and insights into effective leadership and organizational development. As a retired chief of police and former assistant director of the Council on Law Enforcement Education and Training, I have honed my skills and insights into leadership and organizational development. This has led to me to be able to create some signature packages that encompass multiple facets of what we're all about at Leading and Learning with Character. Many of my clients have praised my work, saying that they wish they had contacted me sooner. Don't be one of those that wishes you'd contact me sooner. Don't wait. Let me share our signature classes. We've got Supervising with Purpose. You don't have to be a supervisor. It prepares you to understand supervision even before, but it's a great class for any supervisor. It doesn't matter the organization. It doesn't matter whether you've been there a long time or you're entry level. Okay. Mentoring for Success. Hey, folks, if you're struggling with recruitment, retention, and succession planning, Mentoring for Success is the perfect class for you guys. You have some mindset issues, attitude issues, change your mindset, change your attitude. The mentor mindset to help you in your mentoring process, overcoming challenges within your team, group, marriage, etc. That's also a ministry side that we just started for local churches that have those struggles. Creating effective customer service. Folks, if you're dealing with customers in any way, if you're a service-oriented business, you have customer service. We have Jumpstart Your Leadership Growth, and another one of our ministries is Foundations of Faith. Also want to point out that we have several workshops coming soon: Creating a Positive Mindset, The Mindset of a Leader, Mentoring for Success, Creating an Effective Team, Leading with Purpose, and Jumpstart Your Leadership Growth, the 3-day version. Now, why is all this important? Well, because one of the things that I think we ignore is our own mindset and how much we can control it if we're intentional and disciplined. Okay? That's why these leadership series are so important. We talk about several topics and how we must understand our own influences and our own mindset and attitude. And it's not anybody else's fault or responsibility, it's ours. Here are a few of the topics we discuss: building a strong foundation, learning from your mistakes, self-reflection, your attitude, your responsibility, dealing with difficult people, control your reactions, emotions, never give up, teamwork, effective communication, and accountability. Why are these so critical in how we move forward? Again, mindset is everything, and from our mindset comes our attitude. We often talk about and hear others talk about the things that we eat and how it affects us on our bodies and our health. What we don't talk about enough is keeping our mindset healthy. When you put junk in, junk comes out. When junk comes out, we tend to blame everybody else on the end product. And this is usually a bad attitude, a junky mindset that has us a negative effect on us and everyone around us, and we ignore it and we blame other people for it. If we take a look at Psalms 19:14 closer, it basically is telling us we should think, say, and do things that are pleasing to God. If we focus on what we think about, our thought process changes. If we focus on saying things that are wholesome and pleasing to God, we're kinder and friendly to everybody. If we only desire to serve and honor God, then the things that we do are there to positively influence others in their walk with God. This also influences how each of us leads ourselves as well as others. Hey, folks, if any of this resonates with you, I'm confident that I can help you overcome any challenges you're facing, whether it's poor communication, weak leadership, poor attitude, or retention issues. I have a track record of success in helping individuals and organizations overcome these challenges and thrive. Don't wait any longer to enhance your leadership and take your organization to the next level. Don't continue to make excuses. Okay? Contact us today at earlmorrison.com or email us at earl@earlmorrison.com to find out your next steps in your leadership development journey to success.